I want to just kind of get this rolling a bit, but for those of you on camera, it's nice to see you. And for those of you who are off, it's good to see your name. And for those of you who I haven't met, I'm Danielle Williams. I'm the Northeast rep, and just thanks for taking the time to jump on this call. This is meant to be open-ended. It's an opportunity to chat, ask questions to the CAP team, who I will introduce shortly. But it's also an opportunity, just based on how the conversation goes for us, since we are all CAP users or familiar with it, to learn from one another and share some best practices, because there are different ways, different little nuances that I get into this with discussions with owners about of how they use it with their coaches teams and whatnot. So if we go there, we can always keep the conversation rolling. And then for those of you who need to log off, we're gonna wrap up hopefully by 3 o'clock. So with that said, with the CAP team, I wanted to introduce you to Spencer Hendel and Alexander Gowers, otherwise known as Alex. Spencer, you don't go by Spence, right? We're keeping the two.
I've been called a lot of things, Danielle. You feel free to call me whatever you want. It's all good.
We could stick with Spencer. But yeah, I want to kind of just introduce the two of you, and if you guys could give just a quick background at what your involvement is with CAP. What are some of the things that you're rolling out to just have everyone on here get a better understanding, and then we can start getting the questions coming out. If you're not comfortable speaking on this call, please just put your questions in the chat, and I'll be monitoring that along with Kevin Ogar, and Gordon, the Southeast rep, is also on here at some capacity. So we'll be going through with that. And, there are quite a few people jumping on this too. So you could either, put your hand up too if you want to chat, or if there's a pause, just interject. Okay. This is meant to be informal. So with that said, off to you guys. Spencer and Alex, if you could just, yeah.
Okay, I am Spencer Hendel, one of the CAP CrossFit affiliate content creators. Like to just say that we create educational material for the affiliates and educational resources for the affiliates. We also write main site programming, as well as a couple other fun projects that we have going on that we provide content for. I teach level 1 and level 2 seminars for CrossFit HQ, not as much as I used to in the past, but thankful for the opportunity to work for the affiliates and provide this educational resource to you guys. So thank you.
My name is Alex Gowers, also level 1, level 2 seminar staff. So I'm still doing a fair amount of those, writing the content for CAP, writing the lesson plans, doing some work for our Army contract as well. But other than that, a lot of the same things Spencer just said. I coach and run an affiliate, CrossFit Reston, in Northern Virginia. So if you're in the area, it's kind of where I'm located. And like I said, not much more to it than what Spencer said as well. So let's get this thing rocking and rolling.
Yeah, and for those of you who are creeping in on this call and like I'm not using CAP, but wanting to explore it, then sit back and enjoy. But for those of you who've been using it, you might have seen that there's been some changes over the past couple years, and it's evolved. And so I just want to put the ball in your court too, with if anyone has any questions off the top of your head, and this is where I'm going to pause for maybe 30 seconds until someone speaks. There has to be some burning question out there. So yeah. I see Simon, David, Betsy. And again, if no one has a question, I could keep this ball rolling, but I want to just at first put that out to you. Anyone? Okay. Oh, your favorite question, Spencer. What a jerk. Have you guys ever thought about programming strength cycles? That's interesting you bring that up, Gordon. So Spencer can weigh in on that a bit.
Wow, Gordon, you just really wanted to just see me.
You just ruined Spencer's day.
Yes, Gordon, I would actually really love to talk about strength cycles, actually, as a matter of fact. All right, so we've gotten a lot of feedback on providing cycles for affiliates. A lot of affiliates come from programming that may have provided cycles in the past, or people have just found some success in following some kind of linear progression or Wendler system, or this, that, and the other thing, which is great. And quite honestly, my belief, and Mr. Gowers can talk for himself, but 99.9% of every athlete that walks into our affiliate just needs to hit one workout as hard as they possibly can once a day. And that's going to keep them coming back for a long time. And that's going to help them improve and reach their goals in a very appropriate manner. That being said, we often have other people, the whatever 0.1% that walk into our gyms, and obviously don't quote me on those percentages, but we have those people that walk into our gyms that love some extra volume and love some extra work. And maybe we have some athletes that are in attending competitions like the quarterfinals, the semifinals. Maybe we have someone in our affiliate that's reaching the games. And those individuals do need some extra work. And so we have recognized that, we do need to put out some extra bits. So for that, we have developed what we call work your weakness work. And in that work your weakness work, we have 3 strength options. And those 3 strength options come in more of strength 1 is more surrounding like Olympic lifts, like the snatch, the clean, the jerk. Strength 2 is going to be more of your traditional strength, like back squat, bench press, strict press, deadlift, and so on and so forth. And then the 3rd strength option is going to be more of your unorthodox strength, like strict pull-ups, sandbags, sleds, and really some kind of things to fill in the blanks. So that's provided us a lot of really good opportunities to add some extra strength work into the CAP programming. But like we talked about cycles, strength 1 and strength 2 are going to follow more of a traditional, strength 1 is going to follow a traditional linear progression for 8 weeks. And so you will see the percentages go up as the repetitions go down, and that will follow, like I said, for 8 weeks. At the end of 8 weeks, we'll have like a week where we kind of have like an off week, and then we will circle back and go back to that same linear progression consistently throughout the year. And then strength 2 is going to follow more of your traditional Wendler system, where we got like 5-3-1, and then with a deload week on week 4. And that, like I said, will intermix with your traditional strength lifts like back squat, deadlift, strict press, bench press, and so on and so forth. So a couple of good cycles for you. And so far had nothing but good responses to it. And it's seemed to be doing its job and serving the community as I would have hoped. So, yeah, thank you for that wonderful question, Gordon.
And guys, I'll say that was the same question basically I asked Spencer last week, and he was like off record, like, oh God, here we go. And I'm like, I'm curious about that, because I don't know if you're on this call. Is everyone aware of work your weaknesses in CAP? Who's like, who has your video? Has anyone, kind of since we're on that topic, if you can weigh in, do you use that for your affiliate, or how do you apply that or publish it? Can anyone share? Veronica, it looked like your hand was up, or Courtney.
I can go. We literally just started CAP, but we did a separate track in Sugarwood called Work Your Weakness. And so I just put them in throughout just threw them on the days of the week, basically. And the narrative that I put at the beginning is basically like, here it is. Do it when you want to do it. Don't do it if you don't want to do it. And that's kind of how we're using it.
David, you had your hand up. Oh.
Sorry, I always lose that button. Yeah, I just started doing Work Your Weakness probably 3 weeks ago, and I'm digging it. I put it out. It's automatically on push press on Mondays. So I just tell my members, hey, it's there. You can use it, refer to it. But I've started writing it on the board also. So it's there as a constant reminder. So far, it's just me and my training partner doing it. I did have a question though for Work Your Weakness since we're talking about it. Does it coincide with the WODs at all, or do y'all put thought into, okay, we're doing this, this, and this? Because I'm trying to do Work Your Weakness, the strength on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then skill on Tuesday and stamina either Thursday or Saturday. Do y'all put any thought, or are they totally separate entities that just happen to come together for the?
Spencer?
So David, so let me bounce that back just to make sure I got the right question. You're asking about the incorporation of the Work Your Weakness stuff into the daily programming, right?
Correct. Yeah. If like we seem to have a lot of shoulders like one day, and then obviously people are choosing to do cleans or clean and jerk or snatches or whatever. So you can't really plan on that. But do y'all have a system in mind when you're thinking about doing the WODs and doing the Work Your Weakness, and you look at the whole week in total, and you're thinking, okay, how are these going to coincide with the WOD?
Yeah, so as far as how the Work Your Weakness contents program, and Spencer, feel free to interject at any point if I slightly step off path here, but ultimately we take the CrossFit affiliate programming, the affiliate workouts that we write 7 days a week, and then we look at that. We then layer in whatever the progression is for the time of the year, the snatch, the clean and jerk, and then we've got the additional movements that we're doing between strength 1 and strength 2. So those get worked in, and then after that, we sort of try and fill in the gaps with anything that's left over. But with keeping in mind that what we're programming for in terms of variance is mainly just the affiliate track. And then when we add in the additional work with the Work Your Weakness, that there's going to end up being overlap because there's increased volume. So there's no way to make it perfect every single week. So those things are going to start to run into each other. And I would say that we're really not programming that explicitly with the intent to try and work it into a class, more so to just try and create an overall balanced program to say, if someone were going to follow the affiliate track and do extra work, what would that look like from a logical perspective, trying to hit variance? But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're trying to create something that would fit cohesively into classes together. So while it may fit the week in general, it's not always going to be a perfect match to fitting it, plugging it into your classes, especially if you're going to try and plug it into a class for more days than one.
Okay, pretty much answered my question. I appreciate it. What do y'all?
David, you cut out.
I didn't, yeah.
Okay,
You pop it
perhaps
in the
putting
chat
it
if
in
you
the chat, David. And did anyone, while we're on the topic of Work Your Weaknesses, did anyone have any other follow-up questions to that? I'm seeing a couple similar questions in the chat, more about the timing of when content's put out and published. So I know that there might be some changes, or there was a recent change, Spencer and Alex, with that date, but can we speak more about that for a hot second?
Yeah. So a couple questions going into the chat about when we release the programming. And so there are things about, could we have it more than a week or two in advance? We did just bump it out. So we previously had it on, you would get a week of programming on the Monday prior to the start of that week. We're now publishing it the Friday, so 2 Fridays before, so about 10 days or so. And I think long-term, the goal would be to try and extend that out a little bit further, even up to 2 weeks. Beyond that, it gets a little tricky in terms of the process of everything that goes into delivering the program. Not necessarily the workouts themselves, but the final product. So I think right now we're programming in August, but after we program in August, the workouts then sort of need to be peer reviewed. Then we go through a process as a team where we write the content individually, week at a time. So we rotate programmers. But then as a team, we come together and not only review the workouts themselves, but also review the stimulus notes and what goes into it, which then that takes time, and it takes about an hour to get through a week's worth of workout. So we're kind of on a weekly cadence with that. After that, then we needed to assign filming responsibilities, and we needed to push that out. Someone needs to take the time to film those weeks after they've been approved. Then after it's filmed, it's got to go to editing, it has to get edited, then bounce back, and then we write the class plans. After we go through write the class plans, those through a peer edit review process. All along the way, sometimes changes to workouts are being made. Maybe they're being shuffled around. Maybe we're swapping out different workouts. So the ideal answer is yes, we'd love to be able to offer the workouts more than 2 weeks in advance. But in totality, the effort that goes into ensuring that we're delivering a good product and going through the peer review process, trying to put all that out, there's a pretty long life cycle to that, from the moment the workout gets written until we publish, that just can't be sped up. In order to make that happen, as a team, we all need to collectively push forward through the weeks and continually get more work done each week at a rate faster than we publish it. So that sort of, it's like a slow inching process that can only move so fast over time, which is why historically we started out publishing the Friday before, and then 6 months later it was the Wednesday before, 6 months after that the Monday before, and then slowly and slowly. So ideally, yeah, we'd like to progress a little bit further out. It's just something that takes a long time, keeping in mind every other step we have along in the process.
So what you're saying, Alex, is you just don't spend 6 to 8 hours on programming and publish it on SugarWOD for everyone,
That
like,
is the short
actually,
answer.
like some
Yes.
thought, but okay, that's great to know. Well, on that front too, Alina had asked that question a little bit further up in the chat, but I think that kind of could lead into a discussion about the monthly themes and just kind of how long-term you have these themes, and maybe if we could unpack that, and based on some upcoming changes, is there anything you foresee with announcing the themes in advance that could, we could use as affiliate owners for our coaching staff, as a heads up to members, like where we're going? Yeah. So first off, like monthly themes, let's unpack that. Is everyone aware that there's monthly themes and a monthly focus here on this call? That'd be number one. And you guys put out great content, by the way, like with your posts and videos on that. But number two, how do you, to backtrack just to get some insight, like how do you determine those? Like, do you look at it a year in advance? What do you take into consideration with the calendar, like the Open or Murph and whatnot?
For sure. So at the beginning of the year, or even prior to the beginning of the year, call it November, December, we jump on a call and discuss themes for the following year, taking into consideration that a vast majority of the beginning of the year in terms of the CrossFit season is consumed by the Open and the competition, kind of the start of the competition season for the CrossFit Games. So we definitely recognize that most affiliates will follow the Open and the CrossFit Games initially. And then as we start to shift towards the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the CrossFit Games, obviously, less and less affiliates, have athletes competing in those things, and less affiliates, want to put that kind of stuff into their programming. So we toyed around with, obviously we did the Open this year, and we toyed around with incorporating the quarterfinals workouts in the affiliate programming this year, which kind of got a mixed response. So, who knows, what we'll do next year. But after the kind of start of the competition season, we start to get into things like Murph. We're also introducing something called the Service Cup this year, which we're incorporating into the affiliate programming. The entire month of May has been dedicated towards preparing our affiliate for Murph, which would be May 27th. You guys also saw that CAP released a Murph training program, which is kind of cool. So I don't know how many of you guys are following the Murph training program, but that seems to be getting a lot of really good responses. After Murph, we definitely take into consideration what a lot of affiliates and their members kind of enjoy doing. You hear a lot about affiliates really enjoying, a conditioning month, and, toying around with a weightlifting month and a gymnastics month, and, the hero month, and those types of things. And so we've definitely taken those into consideration and planted those things throughout this year. So June is going to be a conditioning month, and then so on and so forth towards the end of the year. And Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. Do we not share that the focuses for the entire year at the beginning of the year? I know we did last year, but that might have been because we were releasing educational bits.
Did I see Alyssa on this call at someplace? Was I mistaken there? I thought I saw her.
Kathy, who is head of product team, she's on the call.
Okay, I know. Okay, Kathy, could you speak to that? Have we pushed that out anywhere? I know, like Spencer said, we have in the past. I thought we might have coming into the new year, but I can't recall off the top of my head.
I am so sorry. My computer's having issues, and so I missed the first part of what the topic is.
So Kathy, we were just simply talking about monthly focuses and yearly focuses. And I remember last year we pushed out what each month's focus was to the affiliates, so that they could kind of already have that in their mind going into the year. Did that happen again this year?
For marketing specifically, you mean like templates and assets and stuff like that?
Cap.
Yeah.
Oh, for CAP, I don't know of it happening, but I can check in and see if it did.
But the feedback could be that most of us missed the boat on that. It got buried somewhere. Yeah.
Roger that.
Well, I know I've been asking a lot of questions along with Gordon kicking off the conversation on this, but part of this call too is for us, we want CAP. We want you to love CAP for those of you who are using it. I love it. I've been using it since it was hand plant, but we also, as anything, things evolve and we want to improve it. Not that I'm speaking on behalf of the team here, but if you have any feedback on, how it could be better, and I know that's subjective, so we want to be productive, but we also have Kathy on this call, who is also head on the product team too. And like, in terms of like being user friendly, or it might be more visibility, things like that. This is like a very good forum to bring it up. So I just want to like open that up. And Betsy said, your plan would be helpful. It could be in the dashboard. Okay, that's noted.
A couple other questions. I have so many for this wonderful group, because like delivery and how you get it is super important. The first one I have is, who uses CAP as is on the day that it is programmed and the exactly as written? If you use that, throw up a hand. We've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we do have a couple who are actually just using it on the days programmed as is. How many people, and you can put it in the chat or throw up a hand. Okay, so that was like 5 or 6, which is pretty good out of a group of 50-ish. That's awesome. No, there's more on the second page. Hold on. Okay, so I think we're looking at about like 10% of folks who are using it as written. How many folks use it but with some minor slight modifications? Like you switch the days around, or you're like, oh, my people do other stuff. So I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's a pretty similar amount. And then how many folks use it, but just as like, it's an inspiration to me, and that's it. Any of those? Nobody is inspired by it. Everyone uses it kind of. Okay, that's awesome. That's super helpful. Next question I have is, okay, so you're using it. Do you find the value more in just like, hey, you tell me what to write on the whiteboard, I don't have to think about it, that's awesome? Like, what is the value you derive from it? Or is it, my coaches read all the coaching notes, or I hit them with sticks and barbells? Or is there like some other piece of it that you're like, this is my true value of CAP? Like, what are the elements? So unmute, put in the comments, what is the value? How are you really using CAP when you're saying that you do it? Coach is not.
I use it for myself as a lead. So sometimes I change up the warming up if I don't totally agree with it or it's a bit boring to me. But on the other hand, I'm really happy with CAP for my other coaches. They all have a job besides coaching in my box. So for them, it's really easy. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to make their own warming up or specific warming up. So and sometimes I deviate from the programming, but that depends on like the day. So Murph, for instance, we do this Saturday and not on Monday. I'm not in the US, so for us Murph is a little bit different. So I take the Saturday because it takes people have more time to do the whole workout. So but then I have to change some things up. So
That's awesome. And I super appreciate the extra time because we know I need at least double for that workout. It's a lot. How could we do it better? So I've definitely heard, like, oh, like, do you want to see this thing on mobile? Is there some sort of format that we could deliver it better so that it could be more useful for your coaches as an LOR? Do you care if your coaches are watching and want to like big brother them and be like, dude, you didn't watch it. It was obvious in the way you like, how could we do it? Give it better to you than it is today. Cindy, jump on in.
yeah, for me, like having a specific app would be really easy because now I just go onto my phone, onto my internet browser, and then I have to, switch back and forth. It takes some time. So, but I know building an app takes a lot of time and a lot of money, but that would be really awesome. And then again, sometimes there is there's like the workouts of today. It's like the 10 rounds of deadlifts, hang snatches, and overhead squats. There's a strength component in it, but there's not really some attention and time for the overhead squat, what is a really difficult movement for a lot of my members. So I'm not always agreeing with CAP in that sense, that there's this specific work up until one heavy, what is it? It's a hang snatch and overhead squat. But I'd rather just take the time for my people to work more on technique. So, when it's a Metcon, get out a heavy part and only have like more time for technique and then the Metcon. But that's my personal opinion. So,
are you making any modifications to the workout to give them more time for that or to like the timeline or anything?
yeah, I usually skip the strength part and I just use more time, or I use the strength part for people to build up to the workout weight instead of build up to a one heavy whatever. I just build up to your workout weight, and then I take a little bit more time to coach people, and because that's really great, to have the time to actually coach, and not only in the warm up or in the build up to in the progression to coach them, but also when they are building up to the workout weight that they want to use.
I have a question, Kathy, kind of that's related. And this is to everyone. How many of you rely on like a third party platform where your coaches just exclusively use like whatever material published? Or do your coaches teams, are they in the habit of logging in with their credentials and accessing CAP notes, which includes the weekly tips? And I know when I was publishing on SugarWOD, I wasn't including everything on that. And my coaches, I know, were not logging in regularly, seeing all the great stuff from an education standpoint. So it was on me to take the weekly tip articles out of that and put it up in their face, in a weekly email or whatever to remind them. So I'm just curious, like to what extent you guys are relying on the CrossFit site or your third party app. And so I have some folks. Veronica, you put your hand up.
Yeah, we definitely use the party app. Just getting people to log into that. I think we were already used to Sugar WOD with CompTrain in the past, so we just stuck with that. I really couldn't figure out how to get CAP into Sugar WOD. I know there was some process to it that was a process that I just never went through. So we just use our WOD hopper. We put everything in there, and the coaches have access to all the notes and the videos, everything. And so they watch it. Hopefully they're watching it. You know, we put it out just as soon as you give it to us. We start, playing with the days and adding some stuff. But not too much because we love the coaching aspect, so we don't want to overfill. I guess my biggest question, since we switched from a very a programming that was filled with so much stuff that there was no time to coach, and so it came at a good time when the price increased for CrossFit that we switched over to CAP. But the heavy days was something that we were struggling with, just presenting a heavy day to our members with no cardio conditioning piece, and people were just losing their minds. Like, what? Like, that's what, we're not doing anything. How are people in this group navigating that? Or are they adding, a small finisher to that? Or is everyone in your affiliates, are you all, able to sell that to your members? I guess that's my question.
And Veronica, I'm scrolling up because I had some of those earlier in the chat. Someone brought that up.
Give an answer to that question that I've used in the past. I'm sure that we've all been there at some point, but we used to do years ago strength and a Metcon afterwards. And there were days where we did for example, a 5-rep max back squat. And I personally think of my experience. I finished this set and thought I could probably do another 10 or 15 pounds on that. But then I looked over and I saw the workout had wall balls and running in it. And I thought, wow, I don't want to go kill myself right now and then have to go do that too. Then we also had other people that would be opposite. Some people would just crush themselves on that 5-rep max and do absolutely everything they can. And then they can't do wall balls and they can't go running afterwards. So I've always used that example to tell people that you could have done an extra 10 or 15 pounds on that squat for 5 reps, but you didn't because you saved it for the Metcon. Or again, the opposite, where people would just kill themselves and then that Metcon took them, twice as long as they should have because they had nothing left.
So Michael, that's great points. I agree 100% with you. But then we run into the majority of our members who aren't going to go super heavy. They're just not. They're afraid. They're nervous. They're not heavy. They're not going to push themselves, even no matter how good they move or how much we encourage to add a little bit more. They're in this mindset that they just want to sweat and they want to just, they want to leave drenched. And I'm like, well, if you push yourself, you will leave here sweaty. But everyone's looking for that. Okay, we did the heavy day. So what are we gonna do after? Like, even if it's like bike, bike sprints or something. They're looking for something. We've just been struggling with that as coaches and with members, and hearing feedback. So we're just we'll add something, and then some days we'll try to just leave it as the heavy day, and then you'd hear all this wah, wah, so we're just we're there right now. That's where we're at.
Yeah, you definitely can't make everybody happy with it. My biggest thing is like the people that would say that, they want to sweat afterwards, is if you challenge them to do those extra squats, like whatever it is, like they should be sweating by the end of it.
Alex?
I'd like to offer my 2 cents on kind of like how you could potentially make that day more palatable and enjoyable for those that aren't immediately ready to jump on board, if you guys are interested in hearing it. Is that, can I get some like thumbs up and some nodding if that's the case? Cool, because I don't want this to come off as soapboxy or like sitting on a high horse, but I think there's a couple factors that come into running a heavy day that people want to attend and enjoy, even if it's not their routine jam. I think first off, communication is a part of it. Talking about that it's not necessarily the what, it's the how that is going to leave people feeling like they got a good workout. The difference between walking a mile and running a mile is how fast you go. And so it's ultimately the execution. When it comes to lifting, similar to what it was Michael, right? You were saying on like, hey, push the squats, push the load, go heavier than you want to. It's the same thing. You talk about that at the whiteboard brief, and you say, like, if you want to feel like you got a good workout, this is what it needs to look like. This is how you need to challenge yourself. And so there's communication up front that goes into that. And then you can be blatant and honest and straightforward about saying, if you don't push yourself that way, you won't feel like you've gotten a good workout, because 5x5 back squats, it's not a ton of volume. So it's got to be the how, not the what. So that's one factor. The second, I think, comes down to group management and ultimately making it fun. You know, if athletes are doing a 5x5 back squat and resting, they're going once every 4 minutes and they're by themselves, each having their own bar, and they're sitting around just kind of standing between sets and not a lot's going on, it is a little drier. Versus if you partner athletes up into groups of threes, you've got the music going, you're going around, you're chit-chatting, they're having to talk with each other, they're coaching each other as they went, cheering each other on. It's a more fun experience as well too. So there's a little bit of that gets sprinkled into it as well. But then I think the biggest thing arguably is probably the coaching that goes in on the front end. I don't think I've ever had anyone in a class or seen anyone in a class who probably wants to do the long sweaty workout, but they run through a warm-up where they get coached to the bone. They're held in the bottom of the squat. They're being told to push their knees out. They're being told to lift their chest. They're being given information. They're being coached. They're being taught. They're being smiled at. They're being acknowledged. When they are coached to the bone and worked hard, they're left sweaty after 10 minutes of working, of holding in the bottom of the squat, practicing holding positions, standing quicker. When you deliver that experience as a coach, I've never seen anyone walk away from that wishing they had done more. So I don't think it's any one thing. I think it's probably a cocktail of those three factors and probably some others that I'm missing. But when you communicate effectively, you set up and run a fun class where people are always doing something and you are coaching them hard, not letting them stand around, not letting them move on their own, but you're dictating what they're doing and when and how. No one walks away being like, because they worked hard, because they're sweating. I think that's where the magic of the heavy day comes alive. And it's not necessarily an easy process to facilitate, but I think that's where you kind of get the ball rolling. Kevin.
I was just saying, we have a bunch of affiliate owners on here. How many of you guys have done your level 2? Do you guys remember your heavy day that you guys did, your level 2? Okay. How many of you guys run your heavy days like that? So like, I mean, you have, Spencer, me, Alex, a few other, some seminar staff here. I mean, probably hundreds of level 2 seminars between all of us. I've never heard anyone complain about a heavy day at a level 2. And if you remember your level 2 and how we ran it with to speak to what Alex was saying, where like the general warm up gets people sweating already. The specific warm up is coached to the bone and like people are moving and holding, and you actually have a chance to make people better before they get to the heavy day. By the time they get to the heavy day, they've already gotten that sweat on. If they're making it to the heavy part of the workout and they're not sweating already, there's something missing in that coaching. So if you guys remember how that level 2 was coached, and I'd be happy to hop on a call with any of you guys and go over how we look at level 2s, level 2 heavy days that we teach. If you haven't tried running a heavy day like that before, where there's a clock, there's loud music, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of coaching, I would suggest try that and see if your members still complain about it, because I don't think they will. And I've had coaches at my gym, I own a gym in Colorado, and I've had coaches be like, hey, I just really struggle coaching heavy days. And then I put them through what I would do at a level 2 to teach people how to run heavy days. And they're like, this is completely different than what I thought it was. I think there's a misconception of what a heavy day is and isn't. Like, people come in, they do a little warm up, they squat with the bar a few times, and then they're into their heavy sets. And that's, if you're doing that, you're missing the beauty of a heavy day.
Denise has her hand up.
Okay.
Alex, you had a thought. Beat Denise out on this. Her video camera's not on, so.
Denise can go first.
Nobody needs to see this, but I got a question for Alex Spence, and I'm just speaking on the voice of the coach. So, and also having compassion for the affiliate owner. Kevin, 100% agree with you that when you show up to a level 2 and you get rocked by that heavy day, you're like, whoa, that is fire. Like, I want that. And Alex, I agree with your points too about no one's ever going to complain when they're getting coached. But you've got affiliate owners that have part-time coaches who maybe at best do 2-3 classes a week. It is their secondary job. It's a full-time passion, but it's a secondary job. I think it'd be really interesting to hear your thoughts on the process of getting your coaches up to speed so they can be at that level of delivery, because it's not easy to do that. And back to Veronica's question about not everybody goes heavy. I think it'd be really cool as a resource, one, to have an article or a video explaining what you do when you have coaches that might not be experienced enough to give that level of coaching. Because I've heard even seminar staff, affiliate owners who have part-time coaches who have to put a little bit more into the hour because they just cannot bring the heat the way that Kevin's explaining. Don't mistaken this, everyone, that heavy days, you should program all this stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But I think the real question is, why is the heavy day not fire? Why is the heavy day boring? So I'm just interested, Spence, Alex, if you have any insight in how that can be managed as a part-time coach who wants to do that, but they just don't know how. And what is the responsibility of the affiliate owner to set them up for that success?
I mean, Spence and Alex, I mean, I can give my 2 cents on this as the affiliate owner who's done this. I coach I make them take one of my classes on a heavy day. And then we sit down and we talk about it. And it does take a little extra time on my end, but I try to be the example for them. So like, hey, I'm having trouble coaching a heavy day. All right, well, we have a heavy day coming up this day. Which class are you coming in to take? I'm going to coach that class. And you're going to take notes while I'm coaching. You're going to take the class, you're going to experience it. And then me and you are going to sit down when you have time. We're going to talk about what I did, why I did certain things, and how you can use your personality coaching. Because my personality of coaching as an old grumpy guy who yells at people isn't everyone's personality of coaching. And so like talk about how we can take your personality and make it shine through on those heavy days. So that's what we did, is make them take one of my classes, lead by example, and then take the time with your coaches, even if they're part-time, to sit down and have conversations with them.
How many of you on this call, or who have your video cameras on, do coaches evaluations? Curious. Okay, Cindy. That's also, I'm just going to throw that out, and always an opportunity, or staff meetings. Does anyone have a topic-based coaches meeting, like monthly, for example? See some nods, and in the chat, I do, we do, I want to.
How do you
Linda,
figure out your topics? And would you ever be interested in CrossFit kind of giving you stuff to do that?
I always ask my coaches how they're doing and what's up, if they encounter some problems or something. We actually see each other like weekly. We follow each other's classes, so I don't have a specific coaches meeting, only when I want to discuss certain things about the box or what's going to happen. But actually it goes really naturally. I'm always checking in. We're always discussing members, or how they can deal with members, or how they can deal with, giving classes or other topics. So it comes up naturally, but it's, I see every one of them at least once a week. So that's easy, actually.
Alex, you had like a point to make before Denise chatted, but Did you hold that thought?
Yep, hold on to it. I'm gonna address a
Figured
couple.
you would have.
Yeah, but while it's fresh on my head, Veronica asked about watching a class. I was in the process of typing something. I don't mind filming a class and sharing it with anyone who wants it. You guys can, I'll pop my email into the chat and you guys can email me. If you want a video of me of a filmed heavy day, I'm more than happy to do that. Then, okay, so initially I was going to throw in my thought. I'll give my point and then I'll answer Denise's question. My initial thing that I was going to throw in there too, while I do feel firmly on like you should be able to coach just the heavy day, I also don't think there's anything wrong with throwing in like a little nugget at the end of class if you are in the process of trying to make the transition. If you want to put up that heavy day up there and then put a little 3-minute ab blaster at the end, just so people see two things on Sugar Water, Waterfire, what it is, that can get people to come in. Because it doesn't matter. I mean, if you are like, let's just say all of a sudden one day you go from, you know, the coach, however you are now, to coach extraordinaire, and you could lead the fire heavy day, it doesn't necessarily mean people are going to show up for it. So I think it's okay to throw in little things like that, or a Tabata squat, or, you know, a workout that matches, you know, if the heavy day is power cleans and you throw in a workout of power cleans and burpees right after that's really short, you can do that. And that can be a good way to start drawing people in. You know, you partition most of your time in the class towards the heavy day, and you do that little nugget, and then eventually people realize that they're good without it. They don't need it. So that can be a way to transition. But to answer Denise's question, you know, Kevin talked about giving the examples, leading from that, the coach development and stuff. For me, I'm going to speak from my experience with, I have a lot of coaches that are affiliate who they have families and day jobs and they don't coach a ton. I lean back on quality over quantity. You know, take the movement, pick 2, maybe 3 points performance for that movement. And I just ask the coach, like, recognize, like, know what to look for there. Are the arms staying straight until they stand all the way up for the power clean? Are the knees staying over the toes when they squat? Is the chest staying up in the bottom of the front squat or the deadlift or whatever it is? And just make it your mission to coach that one thing as best you can. I don't care if there's, you know, if you don't address the 100 of other things that could be a problem, that could be an issue, but just pick one thing and make sure you go around and tell everyone they did a good job at doing that thing, or give them a correction for it. And so for me, it's all about taking off the pressure of doing everything really well and starting with just doing one thing really well for the coach. And I think that if they can start to do that, they can figure out this process of, I move around the room and I watch someone's spine, and either I look at it intently and I say, yes, you did a good job keeping your chest up, or I say, lift your chest up more. If they can start to do that for one thing, eventually they'll start to do that with 2 and then 3 things. And so, and then that's the coaching that they would give to their members. And I think the better they're able to do that, it'll just start to snowball. But again, pulling back to quality over quantity for the coaches that can't commit the time that we would like to see to lead that really awesome heavy day.
Thanks for sharing. Kathy, you've had your hand up too.
No worries. I just want to put Alex on the spot while we have him here, and that nothing coaching wise. I'm not a coach. For everyone that is here, so that watches the CAP video, I got a piece of user feedback recently, and I'm curious if it holds for more people. Historically, the videos had the talking head and like someone like actually demoing it, be like, oh, you stick the dumbbells on your shoulder and you do a step up. But lately they've just had the talking head. And so this particular user said, now I watch the videos less. Is that just this one person, or do more of you want that demo in that video? Raise your hand if you want Alex to start demonstrating squats in these videos and points of performance. Everybody, Alex, bring back the demo. Linda wants you to.
Betsy says yes. I say yes.
That's amazing. I mean, this is your voice in action, because not this week because it's already out, but in a week or two, we should start seeing videos again with demos.
Maybe
No,
maybe not a week or two. Remember the timeline, the progression of stuff.
Oh yeah, videos are in the bank already. Okay, so in a couple of months, it'll start maybe again.
Better with that, yeah.
And is there anything else that we should be thinking about for these videos or anything that would help you coach better, have your coaches on the same plan, any of those types of things?
Don had put in the chat to have some demo of the lesser performed progressions or knowledge bites is helpful for coaches.
That's awesome. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many times you write down Superman stretch for me, I still need my coach to demo it.
High maintenance.
Can I ask a more general question? So in the chat, I've seen a little bit of, you know, like my members are getting better on CAP and things like that. Curious how you know that. So is tracking important in your gym? What are you really tracking that's super important? Like, and I'm gonna call out Christina Perry because I can't stop thinking of Katy Perry. And you haven't spoken yet, and firework is going off in my head. And if you don't, then Michael Patton needs to jump in because of that great name. But how are you getting feedback from your members on their CAP performance?
Yeah, she's probably stepped away to the bathroom or something.
How about Jeremiah Jensen? Yes.
Yeah, for me, it's just visual. You can see it, like you can see people moving better through heavy days, specifically the level of effort they're able to put into heavy days. And then, yeah, of course, through tracking through SugarWOD, which we're getting ready to switch over. But like all information we have as far as PRs, our PR bell gets rung constantly these days.
Alina or Andres, how are you tracking how your folks are performing?
Hi. We use WordConnect, which is a Finnish platform. I don't know if any other countries use it, but in Finland, many CrossFit gyms use it. And our customers log their scores there.
Do they log it? I am a lazy logger. But if my coach logs it, now I know how heavy my squat's supposed to be on a 60% day. How do you entice your gym members to do that?
Well, we've been encouraging our customers ever since they come on for the on-ramps. We tell them that it's very important for them to track so that they know that they're getting better when Cindy comes again. So most of the customers, they log their scores, and our coaches, the ones that follow CAP, also log their scores there.
Betsy or Courtney, how do you like, what about, are you something similar? Like, how are you getting your members to actually log? How many approximately log, those types of things? Or Devin, give it to me. You came onto video. I know you have a good answer.
Well, just things that we do too as well. Pretty much everything that's just said, but we also have a chat with our coaches that we actually give out wins and actually shoot out messages to members, letting them know like, hey, you know, coach, you know, Molly, you know, reached out to you, you did an awesome job with your overhead mobility, you know, that overhead squat, keep up the good work, just kind of giving them more reinforcement through, you know, just wins throughout that day.
Yeah. And I think too, Kathy, to bring up what Devin just said, when I'm thinking of PRs, I'm thinking, oh, wow, this member got her first double under and was able to do maybe a workout RX for the first time, or, you know, and so it's hard to quantify that at times, like with the tracking. But what comes to mind that I used at my affiliate for easy results was using the benchmarks, which are kind of sprinkled in. And that's when people would be like, I just PR'd this benchmark without like having to go through your wins. And correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone has any other ideas, because from what we're hearing, like that was like what really jumped out, or when the heavy day and the lift. Those are easy metrics to take into consideration, but yeah, Betsy chimed in, double unders, pull-ups, benchmarks.
And that's awesome. That really actually just blew my mind because you're spot on. Like I think of the things that are celebrated most at our gym are like these smaller things. It's not someone doing a 250-pound back squat or anything. So it's awesome.
Or like, it's great if you PR, Nate, but these smaller wins, we have to hash them out and have a system to communicate them from our coaches to our community. And it doesn't seems like that's like all over the place. We had a call about retention last week, and everyone uses a different channel and, has a different way of doing that. So. Dawn said, I looked in SugarWOD several days per week to make sure athletes are meeting the stimulus. And social part of Push Press for sharing with members. Well, we have a couple minutes left, so we can either sit here in awkward silence until I say see ya, or if anyone has anything pressing, because Kathy is running ship in the product team. Our rep team's always getting together with her and kind of giving feedback from our discussions with you all. So just know that if you talk to your rep or if I've talked to you, we'll go back and I'll Slack message Kathy with something, or, we push it right back up the chain. So this is also a good forum because you got Alex and Spencer, which I'd love for you to put them on the spot with something too in the next couple minutes. I had Nicolas with his hand up.
Yes, I have few questions, but it's more technical questions. So right now we are using an app. It's called Crossbook, and the cap it's not implemented in the app. So for me as a head coach, it's a lot of works to bring the materials from the cap and trying to put it because all my coaches are second part jobs, so they need something really easy and quick and as complete as possible. And we don't use cap for the moment, but we want to switch to it. And a few of the coaches are have level 1, level 2, and some are in the process, but they don't have the access to the cap on the website from CrossFit right now. So is it possible to open an access for the owner of the boxes or the head coach so all my staff can have access to the materials without another applications? I don't know if it's clear. Sorry for my English, but yeah.
So let me just unpack that for a second and ask.
Yeah. Like for the moment, all the coaches from the box who have a level 1 or level 2, they have access to all the materials directly from the website. Okay, but the other part of the team, they are not able to have access because they don't have, or maybe it's just technical problem. But if you don't have a level 1, you are not able to have access to all the product and materials. So a part of the team is able to have it, another part is not able to have it. So like newer coach, they are learning now, and they will go to a level 1 maybe in a few months or something, and they don't have access to the materials. So it's always, yeah, maybe there is an easier way to give access, like one affiliate access or something. I don't know if it's possible. No, the access is only individual.
This is awesome. Can I ask you a really nerdy question really fast? So I'm looking at user roles in the affiliate toolkit right now, and I've heard a case for between marketing people, some of the admin front desk that still write cap on the board for some gyms, and what you're describing. If folks can raise hands, is there more of a need for a role inside of the toolkit that does not have that L1 requirement, or is Nicolas kind of a unique case? Seeing a yes from Betsy. If you, Sven, put in the chat what the what parts of the toolkit would be super helpful to access. I'm assuming CAP, but if there's like the marketing stuff would be useful, like truly, I'm trying to build a case to open it up to a non-certified role and make sure that we're giving the right access to folks. CAP, good. Oh, sweet. Okay, perfect. Man, Nicola, I don't even have to pay you. You teed it right up for me. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Coaches.
Training.
And on another note, I wanted to make sure, I'm gonna write a recap on this, but, and this is being recorded, but there were a lot of requests for odd objects or kettlebells, sleds, feedback, a lot of people chiming in that this is a great idea. I think it was further up in the chat, Alex and Spencer on that. Yeah, and I'm seeing some other comments, box access for a number of coaches with or without level 1. I do understand and agree that not everyone can be at it. You know, you could kick it back the old school way and give out your credentials to a couple people, you know. But that's thanks, Kathy, for being on this call, because you know, this is a lot of great things to hear. Well, guys, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I said we would wrap up at 3 o'clock. It's 3:02. It's kind of like class management here. But if there's anything more pressing that, you know, you feel like you didn't get out, or it's like an afterthought, please hit up your rep. If you feel comfortable, like you were gelling with me today, even though maybe your camera's off and you want to hit me up, I'm going to also include my email in the chat. I know Alex included his. I'll be following up with you as well, and we'll loop Kathy in with her contact information if you just want to go straight up to her. So, and I just want you all to know that we're accessible. Take advantage of your rep and the team, and please, like, you know, we want you to be finding value in things. So it's important to have these conversations. With that said, last time I had spoken with Spencer and Alex on the last call with CAP, they had mentioned something about a monthly call rolling out soon, exclusive to CAP users. Can you guys elaborate a little bit more with that and when we could anticipate that happening? Or is that something I just made up and I'm
what was the question again, Danielle? Could you repeat it?
Are you guys going to be rolling out a monthly call for folks on CAP, like just like kind of a meetup?
Yeah, so we're looking to do exactly what we're doing right here. So get with the affiliate rep, local affiliate reps, regional affiliate reps, and just do more of this and get in contact with the affiliates and really field your guys' questions and you know, get to know how you guys use CAP and what are some best ways that we can continue to innovate the product and you know, give you guys better resources to do your guys' jobs.
Great. Well, we'll be collaborating on this then. Well, guys, thank you so much, and best of luck with preparing your communities in the next couple days for Murph, and hope to connect with you soon. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. If you are traveling, safe travels. And yeah, that's that. You know, I'm not short-winded. I'll stay on if anyone wants to chat with me, but otherwise, have a great weekend. And hope to connect on a future call.
Thank you guys
Thanks,
very much.
guys.
Thank you.